Hello everybody, welcome back to another book review. It's been a long time, but I've been crazy busy, and I just want to I've been reading though, so I have a couple books that I've set aside to do a book review for. The first one, as you can tell from the last video that I started, was Rant, the oral biography of Buster Casey. And it's pretty good. It's an oral biography, so it's like either people are being interviewed or someone's describing information that they had found out about Buster Casey, like a journalist. And so you start off the book right away finding out that Buster Casey is already perished. And he is the reason why they had a disease epidemic of some kind. Just right off the bat, you see this, you hear about this, and you don't know about the setting that well yet. But then you kind of start going back to the origins of this character, Buster, or his nickname Rant, and he was something of a mischievous person. He grew up in like some podunk, like very tiny little township, and so it almost seems like the setting is like, because of how the town is, like 60s, 70s, 80s maybe, just because of how like laid back and how things are kind of slow there. But this character is just he's not very settled. He keeps himself busy by I'm not sure if we can even call them pranks, what he ends up doing to everybody around him, family, friends, neighbors. A lot of hijinks in this book. So he decides to move out of town. He moves into the city. And at this point, so I skipped over, his childhood. A lot of pranking, a lot of weird stuff. I should probably mention the fact that he came into a small fortune under one of his pranks. And after he did that, he became obsessed with getting bit by all kinds of pesky creatures and whatnot, like snakes, spiders, badgers, just anything, bites, stings, all kinds of stuff. He just thrived off of it. And introduced some people into this practice as well, and he just kind of got off on it. Literally, actually, the toxins of him getting bit by a black widow gave him an erection, and so he actually ended up utilizing this specific thing, this tactic of getting an erection, in order to get out of high school early, by threatening that he was being sexually discriminated against because he had man problems. Unlike women problems are, like, in the book it's like protected, but then he figured out a way to like corner some legal argument and to like blackmail the principal or his teachers or whoever's in charge of that. And one second. Reason I've been busy lately, actually, and why I have this mug is that I've been working throughout the winter. I've been working like 55-hour work weeks, and this mug says "Coach" because I've been coaching basketball. Go Lady Falcons! All right, back to the book. So he moves out into the city, and you realize that in the city, it's not 1950s through 80s, possibly. It's like some near dystopian future, and they have this system where it's like night timers and day timers, where population is such a situation where like there isn't enough jobs and there isn't enough services for the people for a regular like living situation. So they have people that go at night and only live at night, and some people live in the day. And you come to find out that so Chuck Palahniuk is the writer, and there was a movie, the writer of Fight Club, and there's a movie Fight Club. You probably heard of it. So as far as this book goes, and you get the flavors of this as you go along, hence the kid like getting off with getting bitten, scratched, and stung, that there's a situation where people will feel like so out of place and so unfulfilled to what they are expected to have in life that they go to such extents to feel alive. And later on in this book, there's this group of people who actually are big storytellers in this book called Party Crashers. And they are a group of people who, it's kind of like a weird social club where they go and they steal a car, I think. I think they come to, some people might steal a car, some people might just buy clunkers. And they decorate the car in that month's or week's or whatever the event's theme. And they drive through a city and they crash into each other. And they go about pretending like they're disturbed by the crash and put on a whole hoopla for like whoever is watching nearby. And it's like this live performance art piece that they're doing. And obviously their adrenaline is rushing because of the crash. I mean, they actually crash into each other. And okay, so that's kind of something he falls into that group when he goes there. And then you get to find out all the weird things about the society and how it works and the class system and how like the nighttimers are doing the daytimers a favor, because I don't think most people want to be a nighttimer unless there's a certain kind of folk. And so that's kind of how the thinking goes down, where, well, I mean, I'm glad that there's nighttimers, but you got to wonder about the people who choose to go to nighttimers. And so there's like some benefits, and so people consider them lazy. It's very interesting. It can be applied to a lot of different social constructs. And so it's a really interesting book. It talks a lot about diseases. You have a couple different doctors discussing like how things came to be for the disease epidemic, because you know that early on in the book that kind of happens at some point, and you kind of wonder about it. And it talks about the slow spreading of it, and then there's a weird part in the book about what a person can do when they step outside of this plane of reality, where they can observe time and can kind of go to any part of time in their own life. And Rant comes up with all these theories about it, and it's kind of, there's like a story that gets passed around that he actually, when he died, he didn't die, he went back in time and kind of messed around with his earlier timeline stuff. And I'm gonna cut that short because that's one of the more interesting things about the book when you get into it. And I do not want to, it's like it's got some reread potential because of what I just told you, and I don't want to discuss all of it. So all in all, it's a fun book, really interesting style and portrayal of settings and characters that you'd expect to get. It's weird because I can probably understand what, I never read Fight Club. I've seen the movie. I can understand what kind of styles and settings are portrayed in a lot of this guy's books, because people call his viewpoint very nihilistic. And it's kind of nice because it's not the typical plot structure in a lot of stories. You know, obviously there's favorable, popular, historical plot, you know, setups and whatnot. And this is not that, and it's refreshing and dark and silly and sexy and gross. And I hope you read it. I plan on possibly reading some more Chuck Palahniuk books. Be interesting to check out Fight Club. That's one of his more popular ones. I like the movie, so I might be going down that lane. And that's the book review for Rant, an oral biography of Buster Casey. That's that book. Cool art. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't need to be anything. The book I read after that was one of my favorites, Kurt Vonnegut. But this book is called Bagumbo Snuffbox, And it's a book of his early beginning work of, like, he was working at like General Electric factory or something, but he started playing with the idea of writing. And so a lot of these stories are before he actually moves into being an author, where he sold a lot of his short stories to periodicals of the time. And there's some reoccurring stories in the book. There's one about I'll save that for next book review. Yeah, so look forward to me reviewing Bagumbo Snuffbox by Kurt Vonnegut. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. There's usually like animals around. I have to show them off, but like, am I doing the wrong way? Am I doing the wrong way? It's like, no, I'm completely blocking them. No worries. They're still alive, so that's good. And I will see you guys later.